This movie is all about the beautiful Aubrey Plaza in action against the world's most dangerous criminals. Just kidding. But she's in the film though.
This action and comedy movie begins with a well-dressed gentleman walking down a shiny hallway. His name is Nathan, and his footsteps sync with an armed battle somewhere else in the movieverse. Nathan turns around to a voice and comes eye to eye with an important-looking government official. They both are speaking in posh British accents about the occurrence of an armed robbery of a dangerous top-secret weapon, which apparently is so top secret that even the alarmed government official or minister doesn't have a clue what it is. But he knows enough that in the wrong hands would cause global catastrophe and hence calls in off-the-record mercenaries to reacquire this weapon. Aha! A vague, lethal weapon that threatens the world, a team of deadly agents, a famous martial arts star, and a lot of famous accents. The premise for a perfect action film. Nathan sets off to assemble his team, first being the main man, Orson Fortune, who has a comedic medical condition that requires him to consume expensive aged wines and female heterosapiens. He disturbs Fortune's vacation and convinces him to help save the world. For a price, of course. And they set off to meet the rest of the team, an American beauty called Sarah Fidel, and a British hunk called JJ. After the team assembles, based on an intel, they set off to intercept an old man carrying the weapon data, but become aware of someone incapacitating their agents. Nevertheless, they manage to capture the old man and almost get away with him, but are pursued by Mike, who is a competitor to Nathan. Sarah manages to remotely download all the data on the drive before Mike breaks into their van, but the old man has a heart attack and expires with a last wish. However, nobody gives a poop about it, and the film carries on.
If you have enjoyed this content so far, please consider subscribing and leaving a like.
Based on information from the old man, Nathan assumes the old man's identity and delivers the data to the seller or middleman who turns out to be the lawyer for the deadliest arms dealer in the world, Greg Simmons. The overcautious Greg is holding a charity event, and in order to get in and collect intel, the team decide to use a ruse known as a famous movie star Danny Francesco, whom Greg is a huge fan of. Sarah finds some dirt on Danny and Orson uses it to blackmail him to work for them. They head to Cannes, where Greg is hosting his charity event, but Danny is pooping himself worried about all the dangerous people gathered there. Danny is playing himself while Fortune and Sarah are playing his manager and girlfriend. As expected, Danny draws the attention of Greg immediately, but it seems nobody invited them. Orson tries to maintain their cover by purchasing a necklace, but with a twist, Greg gifts it to them just because he is obsessed with Danny. They greet each other, and just as flirtations have begun, Greg's phone rings and he requests Amelia to handle it, noted by Sarah and Orson as an opportunity. Greg suggests they head to the cocktail bar, and Sarah makes a male chicken joke about it. Meanwhile, Danny and JJ are remotely keeping an eye on everything. While Greg is distracted by the cocktail master, Orson and Sarah plan their moves. She is to get close to Amelia's room, while he is to get rid of a waiter, whom he recognizes as Mike's man. A comedic battle of words between Mike and Nathan begins while Sarah almost gets caught spying by Ben, but she cleverly covers it up with her knowledge of art. Orson zeroes in on Mike's man and bribes him to leave. However, he is greedy for more, which makes Orson angry, and he throws him off the boat. Sarah is successful in connecting Greg's phone for spying and heads back where Greg makes weekend plans with them in Turkey. And while Danny gets ravaged by some Ukrainian smugglers, Greg makes a bold move on Sarah. Orson rescues them both and they leave the party with some spectacular fireworks. Thanks to Sarah's effort, the team is able to listen to Greg finalizing a mysterious deal worth a whopping $10 billion, but the buyer's anonymity is protected by Greg, and they decide to celebrate with vodka. Meanwhile, Nathan has been in touch with Knighton discussing leakage of intel at some level, thanks to which Mike has been getting an edge interfering in their mission, but Knighton has not discovered any leaks yet. The team plan to discover more about the mysterious weapon being traded. Sarah cannot hack Alexander's computer remotely, so Orson volunteers to quote-unquote penetrate the Ukrainian, and Sarah advises to go on a date first. Well, he kinda walked into that one. Orson breaks into Alexander's place and enables Sarah to control the security alarms and release sleeping gas, knocking everyone out. Then he heads to the bedroom where he steals all the jewelry and money to fake a robbery, his main target being Alexander's laptop. Everything done, he restores the laptop to not raise suspicion about their mission, But on the way out, Sarah instructs him to go out the front door, as there still are 2 guards outside in the backyard. However, this leads to a comic situation wherein he walks through the back door and encounters 2 guards but handles them. He criticizes Sarah about the front door advice, but Sarah rebuts him by saying people don't keep swimming pools beside front doors, which is where Orson walked out of. Greg receives a call from billionaires Trent and Arnold where they speak in a cryptic manner, but he is interrupted with some fresh news about the deal happening somewhere during the weekend, which Sarah deciphers to be in Turkey, as that is where Greg also invited them. A plan is set up. Orson and JJ are to tail Greg's man in Turkey, while Danny and Sarah are to attend Greg's invitation to collect intel from both ends. Danny drools over Greg's car collection, and Greg gifts Danny a fast stunt car from one of his own latest movies, and they go for a joyride. Sarah snoops around Greg's house and appears suspicious to Amelia, but manages to cat her way out again. Meanwhile, Orson and JJ are frustrated to find Mike and his men on their tail again, and have to improvise on their previous plan. Sarah hacks into Greg's security feed and manipulates it, enabling her to snoop into Greg's computer without detection, where she collects a lot of damning data, but there's still nothing about a superweapon. Orson is still tailing Greg's man, and discovers Ben behind the scenes and starts tailing them. However, Ben detects Orson, and recognizes Orson as Danny's manager, and attempts to stop him using his bodyguard, which Orson handles easily. JJ manages to block Ben's phone network to prevent their spy mission from being discovered, and a cat-and-mouse game begins. Finally, Ben pulls a clever move and heads into a building where he exchanges his phone with another person and throws the innocent guy down the building. Orson and JJ are fooled into believing that Ben had unalived himself, but just then Ben tries to throw Orson off, which ends badly for him instead. A thorough analysis of the data collected by Sarah reveals that a first-of-its-kind AI like Chat GPT is the superweapon being traded, and reportedly, one could use this AI to hack and control everything on the internet. Further investigation reveals that Ben Harris is supposed to meet Alexander's men to take possession of the AI, so they did need Ben to repossess the weapon. Orson gambles that since Alexander's men may not know Ben's face, he could pose as him and take possession of the deadly AI. However, Orson would still need to sound like Ben over the phone to Greg, who thinks Ben is alive and making the deal, so Sarah devises a way to make Orson sound like Ben, in real time, over the phone. The plan works out perfectly, and Orson takes possession of the AI, with JJ covering him from a sniping position. But suddenly, and of course, Mike arrives with men and air support to join the party, and Orson is intercepted by his men while trying to escape. Meanwhile, luck has run out for Sarah and Danny because Greg's security notices glitches in the system, and they are forced to escape with his men in hot pursuit. On the other hand, Mike takes possession of the weapon and eliminates all witnesses and gives the order to retire Orson as well, while flying away in his chopper. Ha! So much for professional courtesy. However, JJ, who is still in position watching everything, manages to save Orson in the nick of time. Sarah and Danny are relentlessly pursued by Greg's men, and they try their best to shake them. Orson hears about all this and decides to use another chopper left by Mike to help Sarah and Danny, and collapses a tunnel to stop Greg's men. Everyone is safe. However, the weapon is still in wrong hands, so they decide to team up with Greg because he has been double-crossed out of his commission, thanks to Mike. They convince him to team up with their efforts to each achieve their own interests. Greg agrees instantly and informs them that Trent and Arnold are the weapon buyers, and they plan to use the AI to bankrupt the global money system, which is why they had been buying gold in large quantities, so that when the market crashes, they remain the only billionaires. All of our main characters are set to converge here. Team Orson begins their reconnaissance and assault while Danny and Greg head up to meet and distract Mike and the billionaire brats. The film displays epic action and drama in an alternating but simultaneous scene-by-scene progression at 2 different places, where on one hand, Orson and JJ are kicking the behinds of security personnel, while Greg displays the reason he is known as the quote-unquote Black Angel of merciless unalivement. The room is bamboozled with this show of power by Greg, and he even has a list of people they all care about who might get unalived if Greg doesn't get his due commission in the next 5 minutes, and he leaves with Danny feeling man spasms for Greg. Meanwhile, Orson is unstoppable on his way up to capture the AI weapon, with the support of JJ and Sarah. A confrontation ensues between billionaire brats and Mike. The brats don't want to pay Mike's commission because they have to pay Greg, but Mike's IT guy manages to hack them and can take all their money, so Mike gives the signal to eliminate everyone, and there's a firefight. Orson arrives just in time to grab the AI weapon and beats the poop out of Mike's head, and heads out to meet his team with the AI. They head back to Nathan, who has another mission for them, but they decide to take a vacation instead. The end credits roll showing Danny playing the part of Greg inspired by the quote-unquote merciless angel of unalivement scene from before, and they live happily ever after.
Thank you for watching this far. If you liked this video, then pretty please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Stay tuned for more.